All right, so one of the bigger questions we've had all offseason, we've had all fall camp, is about the offensive line. It's about the secondary. How many guys are going to play in the secondary, and can you trim down your rotation on the offensive line to get it more like looking like a five-man unit? Josh Heupel was asking his Monday press conference about the rotations. First, he'll answer about defensively, and then the offensive line rotation. Here's Josh Heupel.
The second level, or second and third levels, I should say, we got nicked up a little bit in the middle part of training camp. I know you guys saw a little bit of that. Those guys are all back and healthy. They've been with us all of last week as well. Gotten really good work. That gives us the ability to rotate on the back end. We have a plan. We'll see how it unfolds on game day, but expect to see a lot of people rotating in. That's true at the corner, safety, and the nickel spot. Yeah, well, I do feel good about the development of our young guys. Some of the guys that have had experience, plan on rotating some of those guys at the guards and tackle position in this first one as well.
So, Austin, he makes note of it there when talking about the secondary. Like, you can go into a game, you can go into Saturday and say, hey, here's our plan. The game can dictate how many guys you play, so I'll be real curious to see how many guys play corner and safety, and even that star position on Saturday.
Well, I mean, if Tennessee goes out and handles business, I mean, I think they're hoping to get the Ricky Gibsons and Jordan Matthews and Christian Conyers into the game. But again, best laid plans. I think you'll see a lot of Gabe Judlally. I think you'll see a lot of Danico Slaughter. Warren Burrell is someone I don't think will start, but I think will play. Kamal Haddon-Hubbard has been a bit banged up. How much can he go? Ultimately, they need him to get healthy. And then, at the star spot, it's T-Mac, and then we'll see. And then the safeties, about who you thought, Wesley Walker and Jalen McCullough.
Yeah, it's one thing to put in guys when you're in a blowout, right? That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
When you're ahead, you're supposed to play all those guys and, basically put your JV in, if you will. My question is going to be, is there truly a set rotation? Are we going to see in the third series, is Brandon Turnage going to come in and play corner? Or is Warren Burrell coming in? Are they going to go Christian Charles at safety or Andre Turrentine at safety? Is that really a plan, or is that just kind of water cooler talk, Rob, if you will, from the coaching staff and some coach speak? That's what I'm curious to see. I mean, when you're up big, if Tennessee gets to that point, that should happen. My question is, are they going to do it in the midst of trying to win the football game?
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, that's the exact same thing for me. To a lesser extent, same thing's true at wideout. I really want to see if they play six. I mean, they've got six guys on the depth chart, but the big question is at defensive back. I mean, and you're right. Does Jordan Matthews get a meaningful rep in week one? Meaningful rep to me would be in the first half when it's a 2-touchdown game or something along those lines. Are Haddon and Burrell really splitting time? There's been so much talk about it this preseason. However, I tend to lean towards believing it because there's been a lot of unprompted talk about it, I guess, whether from Coach Martinez or Coach Banks or Coach Heupel, again today, using the word rotation to, why throw that out there and, open yourself up for criticism if you don't really plan to do it.
Joey Halzle expressed his confidence in the offensive line the way they've been playing. Joe Milton expressed that last week as well. And Josh Heupel, on two separate occasions, answering two different questions on Monday, pretty much said, hey, we got faith in the guys behind Cooper. We got faith in the guard and tackle options for Tennessee. But Brent, on that offensive line, looks like you're going into week one. You're going to play John Campbell at left tackle. You're going to play Ollie Lane at center, Spraggins at right guard, and then you're going to see both Mincy and Crawford at right tackle, and then at left guard, you'll see Andre Carrick and maybe some Jackson Lampley as well. There's going to be a rotation on the offensive line.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how this offensive line plays because the best thing Virginia's got going in their football team, in my opinion, is what they're bringing back on the defensive line.
Yeah.
And really their front seven. They're bringing back what they had a year ago. And Rob, when you look at them statistically, they were salty. So there will be a challenge for Tennessee's offensive line when you look at the Virginia's defensive front and kind of analyzing them.
Yeah, defensively, they bring back, I think, I want to say the six starters, the front seven.
Yeah.
They gave up 370-ish yards a game last fall. So defensively, the front seven, I think, will present some challenges, and especially, it'd be a good litmus test for a Tennessee offensive line that's, most likely going to be in flux with some moving parts.
Well, and the other thing too, Austin and I talked about this a little bit on the 2-minute drill, is how's Virginia going to play? Right? Are they going to come aggressively and bring extra people? I mean, they had over 30 sacks last year. Are they going to they're going to be super aggressive there? Are they going to be afraid of giving up the big play, Eric, and getting it thrown over their head? They're going to play coverage and try to see if they can get home with 4, and not give up the big play. I think that's going to be an interesting thing because they may test Joe Milton and Joey Halsley's and Josh Heupel's patience early in this game. Are they willing to take the shorter stuff and kind of dink it and dunk it because they're not going to let it get thrown over the top of their head, and kind of back everybody out and drop 8, so to speak? Tennessee run the football effectively in those scenarios. They need to be able to. So I think Tennessee's front's going to get a test in a variety of ways, and I think that's good for this team when you look at what's coming down the line for them. They need to be tested in week 1. They don't need, in my opinion, 2 softballs before you roll to the swamp. They need to get a pretty good physical test, and I think Virginia's going to present that to those guys up front.
I think so. Chico Bennett, he's been banged up so far in camp. We'll see if he can go, but he's their best one. He's an edge player. 7 sacks a season ago. You've got Cam Butler that had 4 sacks on the other side. You've got an interior option who's a really good player, Aaron Famui, I believe is how you say his name. Probably not. He's a really good option from the interior as well. So if I'm that front 7, AP, I mean, I'm challenging Tennessee, knowing the question marks you have on the offensive line, knowing you're probably going to give up points anyway. I'm probably going to try to make it difficult on this new offensive line group for the Volunteers on Saturday.
100%. I'm bringing the house, and if you get beat deep, you get beat deep.
You're gonna give up points anyway.
That's right. So like I would try to make Tennessee play behind the sticks. Like if Tennessee's having to play in 3rd and 15, 3rd and 14, we've seen the last couple of years, the offense does not play nearly as effectively when they're playing behind the chains. And so I think that starts with being able to put pressure on Tennessee's offensive line, and then subsequently Joe Milton. And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying bring the house on every play, but I wouldn't be sitting back playing on my heels.
And that gets back to the Joe Milton question that you want to see too: is does he hold the football, or does he get the football out of his hands and understand that you live for the next day? If it's not the perfect play, the perfect call's not there. I mean, people ask me all the time about rushing yards and all this other stuff. I think the bigger stat for Joe Milton is how many negative yards does he have? I don't mean net. I mean, how many negative yards does he have? Negative rushing yards, sacks, where he held on to the ball too long, that type of thing. I don't think Joe's going to do that, but I think that's the question. One of the questions Joe has to make sure he gets answered. He didn't do that. I don't think too much in the Clemson game. He got hit a couple of times, but he's got to make sure that he's playing and making those quick decisions like he's made in camp when nobody's been able to get within 5 feet of him without the whistle being blown.